Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is my presentation on my business, Zach's Spooky Songs. I am Zach. I have been composing instrumental music since the COVID 19 outbreak, since I had a lot of free time on my hand, and this is the hobby that I latched onto as a form of expression, so to say. Otherwise, I have been in musical theater for roughly 10 years, taken several in person and online courses on music theory and music composition. And although I've worked in several genres such as electropop, rock, even jazz, I have found that my greatest strength as a composer lies in instrumental horror music, which begs the question, what is that? Well, first and foremost, it is instrumental music, which, for those that don't know, is music that lacks the instrument of the voice. There is no singing nor lyrics. Otherwise, I can play any instrument I so please. I could play the harpsichord if I wish. What I do need to be careful of is specific use of chords and timbre. The chords being the harmony of the piece, while the timbre is the tone, so to say. The chords need to be minor, dissonant, sad, and spooky in nature, while the timbre needs to be high pitched to match the chords. The purpose of this genre is to be used for visual media, unlike a rock album or a concerto where it's released on its own, meant to be enjoyed on its own. This is meant to enhance visual media, and as a result, it will include sound effects, especially if it is for film. With that out of the way, the overview of my business is that it makes profit through commissions of instrumental horror music. Said commissions will be submitted through my website, which will include my introduction, my previous works, as well as my policies. My policies being that for every 60 seconds of music, I will charge $5 and a promise of 2 days business time. So, say you have a 2 minute commission or a 2 minute 10-second commission, that will cost you $10, and I can return that to you within 4 business days. Otherwise, there will be a daily 30-minute revision via Zoom just to ensure customer satisfaction and personal progress. But finally, this is a sole proprietorship. I work on my own, I report to myself, and that's just to stay smaller scale while I focus on my education. But if profit begins to rein in, then I can buy the capital necessary. Going straight into Porter's five forces, there is first the supplier power, which includes a digital audio workstation where the composing takes place, as well as a MIDI instrument, which you plug into the digital audio workstation to do physical recording and composing. And both are very low because they have various brands and options that all have the same essential features. Digital audio workstations, as long as they have basic instruments alongside basic MIDI applications, editing, and recording, you'll be perfectly fine. And for MIDI instruments, as long as it is a MIDI instrument you can plug into your computer and play, you'll also be perfectly fine. But it is the low supplier power alongside the lack of well known brand names that leads to a very high threat of new entrants. There's very little entry barrier, so to speak. Equipment is very cheap and knowledge is very accessible. We've gone over the equipment, but the knowledge, the textbook that I'm using for my college level music theory course was a mere $30 on Amazon. But this also does explain the high existing rivalry since I'm competing with anyone who has a high school education or even a high school dropout because they need internet and $100 and they can become a composer. This leads to very high buyer power since there is a large range of suppliers and a low range of buyers, since buyers are those who exclusively need music for their creative project. And there's also a lack of switching costs, loyalty programs, and discounts that lower the buyer power in other industries. In other words, if I raise prices, I could easily lose customers. For the threat of substitution, it is very low, arguably even non existent, and that is because of the nature of audio design. Audio design consists of dialogue, sound effects, and the score. The score being what is building the story of a visual media alongside the visual, of course. So, sound effects and score are meant to enhance that. And you get rid of the score, what we have left is the sound effects, and that is a proper substitute, but there can be too many sound effects, there can be unsteady balance or improper use. So, although it is a substitute, it is a flimsy one, so to say. Moving on to the SWOT analysis, thankfully, the largest area here is my strengths. Firstly, being my experience in musical theater, since it's like an in class exercise. I have not only the studying necessary for this field, but also the experience in the field itself, which gives me a greater ear in terms of harmony and rhythm. Another strength of mine is my specialty in horror music that needs no introduction. I am basing my entire business around this strength, so of course I have much confidence in it. And finally, there's my strength in communication, which sounds strange until you realize that most composers are the shy, quiet, introverted type. And as a result, I am able to stand out and seem more friendly compared to my competition, especially through that 30-minute daily revision. The weaknesses of mine in this industry are blind spots in popular genres such as pop and country. Of course, I'm not focusing on those genres for my business, so that is completely mitigated. What is not mitigated is my low grade technology, since let's face it, my computer is old, and as a result, the hardware struggles with composing longer pieces, so that definitely slows down the process of longer commissions. Moving on to opportunities, there's only one, but it is a big one, and it is the rise of independent horror projects. Independent projects being those with a very small budget, and thus they require very cheap composers. And they tend to lean towards horror projects because in both game and film, they lack complex writing alongside complex mechanics, filming. It's an easy first genre for developers and filmmakers. So I'm able to easily fill that role. Finally, there are threats, everyone's least favorite word. Mine is a lack of brand recognition since I'm not with any companies such as Fiverr or Twine. I'm all on my own. Then I need to do my own marketing. And when I do get my marketing out, I will have a poor reputation since I may be compared to a Shasta Cola, so to say. And I'll talk about that in a moment with my strategies. First of which being the narrow market. I'm choosing to focus on a narrow market and focusing on that particular aspect of the market so that I can bring better quality within that market as compared to trying to focus on every aspect of the market. And this has many benefits. It focuses on my strengths, avoid my weaknesses, and takes advantage of my opportunities. Finally, what about that Shasta Cola? Well, there's cost leadership. It allows me to gain the most market share since I don't have any cost to Fiverr or a digital audio workstation. I'm purely on my own with zero cost and then can charge less and still maintain equal levels of profit compared to my competitors, so to say. In other words, people are more willing to buy that Shasta Cola if it is much, much cheaper. But with that out of the way, that is my presentation. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you very much.